My name is Johnny Bluestar. I'm the CEO of New Galaxy Enterprises Incorporated, a media content development company. All our current efforts, whether creative or business content creation, broadcasting, or music, are aimed at producing media that is beneficial for individuals and for safeguarding our planet and uplifting its populations. To me, it is clear that the future of mankind lies out there, somewhere among the stars. But first, while working towards that fabulous future, we must immediately clear up the vast pollution and waste problems, do whatever is necessary to defeat global warming, stop the dangerous wars and internationally prohibited regime change, military excursions, and of course, all empire building. And above all, we must find a way to prevent nuclear war and the apocalypse of nuclear winter. We must save the homeworld. Then, clear of conscience, we can venture forward toward a destiny among the myriad worlds beyond our tiny solar system. To that end, I've been recently working on creating a spiritually based organization that will directly address issues that challenge our individual and collective survival, plus offer humanity a new chance to prosper and move forward in its development. The organization is called the Coalition for Planetary Empowerment. The purpose of this organization will be to empower the world's citizens to be able to reach their personal goals and to achieve the political power needed collectively to bring true representative democracy to all the various countries that now claim they are democracies. Although the state of human and citizen rights, including suffrage, were undoubtedly imperfect when the United States was founded, many important rights were expanded as the country matured. The horrendous Civil War, which heralded the end of slavery, inaugurated the beginning of a century of fabulous breakthroughs in now legally protected rights for United States citizens. Accordingly, the main function of the collective goal of this organization will be to regain, maintain, and enhance citizen and human rights throughout the world, including the right to health, safety, and prosperity. In the following clip, Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez, at the time a recently elected new member of the House, plays a little game to demonstrate an aspect of the broken American system of governance, which directly challenges the existing state of representative democracy in the United States. Does she have a point?
It's already super legal, as we've seen, for me to be a pretty bad guy. So it's even easier for the President of the United States to be one, I would assume.
That's right.
Thank you very much. Let's play a lightning round game. I'm going to be the bad guy, which I'm sure half the room would agree with anyway. And I want to get away with as much bad things as possible, ideally to enrich myself and advance my interest, even if that means putting my interests ahead of the American people. I have enlisted all of you as my co-conspirators, so you're going to help me legally get away with all of this. So, Mrs. Hobart Flynn, I want to run. If I want to run a campaign that is entirely funded by corporate political action committees, is there anything that legally prevents me from doing that?
No.
Okay, so there's nothing stopping me from being entirely funded by corporate PACs, say from the fossil fuel industry, the healthcare industry, big pharma. I'm entirely 100% lobbyist PAC funded. Okay, so let's say I'm a really, really bad guy, and let's say I have some skeletons in my closet that I need to cover up so that I can get elected. Mr. Smith, is it true that you wrote this article, this opinion piece for the Washington Post entitled, "These payments to women were unseemly, that doesn't mean they were illegal"?
Well, I can't see the piece, but I wrote a piece under that headline in the Post, so I assume that's right.
Okay, great. So, green light for hush money. I can do all sorts of terrible things. It's totally legal right now for me to pay people off. And that is considered speech. That money is considered speech. So I use my special interest dark money funded campaign to pay off folks that I need to pay off and get elected. So now I'm elected, now I'm in. I've got the power to draft, lobby, and shape the laws that govern the United States of America. Fabulous. Now, is there any hard limit that I have? Perhaps Mrs. Hobart Flynn, is there any hard limit that I have in terms of what legislation I'm allowed to touch? Are there any limits on the laws that I can write or influence especially if I'm based on the special interest funds that I accepted to finance my campaign and get me elected in the first place.
There's no limits.
So there's none. So I can be totally funded by oil and gas. I can be totally funded by Big Pharma, come in, write Big Pharma laws, and there's no limits to that whatsoever.
That's right.
Okay, so awesome. Now, Mr. Mirabani, the last thing I want to do is get rich with as little work possible. That's really what I'm trying to do as the bad guy, right? So is there anything preventing me from holding stocks, say, in an oil or gas company, and then writing laws to deregulate that industry and cause, that could potentially cause the stock value to soar and accrue a lot of money in that time?
You could do that.
So I could do that. I could do that now with the way our current laws are set up. Yes?
Yes.
Okay, great. Is it possible that any elements of this story apply to our current government and our current public servants right now?
Yes.
Yes.
So we have a system that is fundamentally broken. We have these influences existing in this body, which means that these influences are here in this committee shaping the questions that are being asked of you all right now. Would you say that that's correct,
Yes.
Mr. Mirabani or Mr. Schaub?
Yes.
All right, so one last thing, Mr. Schaub. In relation to congressional oversight that we have, the limits that are placed on me as a congresswoman, compared to the executive branch and compared to, say, the President of the United States, would you say that Congress has the same sort of standard of accountability? Is there more teeth in that regulation in Congress on the president, or would you say it's about even, or more so on the federal?
In terms of laws that apply to the president, yeah, there's just almost no laws at all that apply to the president.
So I'm being held, and every person in this body is being held to a higher ethical standard than the President of the United States.
That's right, because there are some ethics committee rules that apply to you.
And it's already super legal, as we've seen, for me to be a pretty bad guy. So it's even easier for the President of the United States to be one, I would assume.
That's right.
Thank you.
The goal is to make sure that government in these countries represent the needs of their populations, whose laws and regulations reflect the work of a truly informed and enlightened citizenry. Citizens of the world need to be protected from endless wars, the blight of poverty, freedom from starvation and disease, the dangers of climate control, and the threat, again, of nuclear extermination. There are problems common to every country in our homeworld. To accomplish our goal, we need funding. Although a website, a broadcast center, and an associated forum will be sufficient to provide the resources to our members to informatively assist with their individual spiritual and personal goals, the coalition will need a specially constructed social network infrastructure to enable their collective goals. With this network, members will also be provided with the resources to communicate with corporate business and mainstream media, which has provided an enhanced mechanism for government to challenge citizen and human rights in the so-called democratic nations of the world. The first social network will be constructed for citizens in the United States, and once perfected, will be passed over to citizens of other countries to customize them for their own needs.